Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we really get into the details, the stuff that makes you think. Today, we are tackling a huge one, maybe one of the biggest modern mysteries,
Hmm.
the 1969 moon landing.
It's definitely up there.
We all know those images, right? That famous footage, the flag, the way the light looks, the talk about telemetry data. But maybe the story isn't quite as straightforward as we think. We're going to peel back some layers today.
Absolutely. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We've looked at a whole range of material official reports, scientific explanations, but also, the really strong counterclaims. Our aim isn't to tell you what to believe. It's more about pulling out the key arguments from everything we've reviewed. We want you to understand the claims and the counter-arguments. So, yeah, the big question we're exploring, the one that still persists, is did we actually land on the moon, or was it maybe, well, a very convincing illusion, like something out of Hollywood?
Okay, let's start right there with the footage, because that's where a lot of the doubt seems to kick off for people. The one small step for man moment. It's iconic. But digging into the sources, one of the first things people point to is the American flag.
Yeah.
The claim is simple. It looks like it's fluttering or waving, and the immediate counter is, well, there's no wind on the moon.
Ugh.
So how is that happening? It's a fair question, I think.
It is, and it's a visual thing, right? Easy to grasp. And that leads into other visual points skeptics raise. Another major one is the shadows in the photos and footage. The argument is that the shadows look off. They seem inconsistent, like they're not all pointing away from a single light source, like the sun.
Yeah.
On the moon, with just the sun, you'd expect really harsh parallel shadows. But some pictures seem to show shadows converging or going in slightly different directions, almost like studio lighting.
Right, like on a set.
Yeah.
Which feeds directly into that bigger, bolder theory, doesn't it? The idea that maybe it was a set, that it was all staged, and this is where you hear the name Stanley Kubrick pop up.
Yes, the Kubrick theory. It's a persistent one.
The claim is that NASA secretly hired him, the director of 2001, A Space Odyssey, which looked incredible.
Groundbreaking visuals for the time, absolutely.
And that he had the technical skill and, frankly, the artistic vision to fake the whole thing. Some people look at the footage and just say, it looks too good, too polished, like a soundstage.
And if the visual stuff wasn't enough to sow doubt, the next point from our sources is potentially even more troubling for some. It's about vanishing evidence. Specifically, the claim that NASA, well, they lost the original high-quality tapes of the moon landing.
Wait, lost them, like misplaced them.
Not just misplaced, not damaged in a flood or something. The sources claim they're just gone, wiped, recorded over maybe, vanished.
Okay, hold on. How do you lose the original broadcast tapes of arguably the most significant event in, human exploration history?
It sounds incredible, doesn't it?
It sounds, hard to believe. The raw feed, the best quality recording, gone.
That's the claim. And it gets worse, apparently, because it's not just the videotapes. Our sources also highlight missing telemetry data.
Telemetry, so that's like the spaceship's black box, essentially. All the flight data.
Exactly. Position, speed, altitude, cabin pressure, astronaut heart rates, everything. The hard scientific data stream that could, in theory, prove the journey minute by minute, that data, according to these sources, is also missing or incomplete, unavailable.
Wow, so the videotapes and the raw flight data. The implication there from the critic's point of view is pretty stark, isn't it? It's not just carelessness. It's maybe you didn't want that data easily available for scrutiny, unless you never planned to keep it long term. That's quite the accusation.
It is. It fuels the idea that maybe there's something to hide. Now, we absolutely have to look at the other side. NASA obviously has addressed these points over the years. Let's take the flag first. Their explanation is pretty straightforward, technically speaking. They say the flag was mounted on a pole with a horizontal bar along the top edge, specifically to make it extend outwards in the vacuum.
So it wasn't actually waving because of wind. It was just designed to look unfurled.
Precisely. That horizontal bar and maybe some wrinkles from being folded gave it that rippled, waving look. No wind required.
Okay. That's a clear technical explanation.
And then the shadows. NASA's counter-argument is about the lunar surface itself. It's not a perfectly smooth, flat surface like, say, a studio floor. It's very uneven. You've got craters, rocks, slopes.
Rats, bumpy.
Exactly. And they argue that uneven terrain, combined with the single, very bright light source of the sun, can create strange-looking shadow effects. Lines might appear to converge. Shadows can fall in weird ways due to perspective and the ground's shape.
So uneven terrain equals weird angles. That also makes logical sense from a physics perspective.
It does. These are the official explanations.
But, and this is the fascinating part highlighted in the materials we looked at, despite these explanations, the doubts really persist for a lot of people. I think the statistic mentioned was something like over 20% of Americans still have doubts or flat out believe it was faked. So you come here for that deeper understanding, right? Why? Why does this conspiracy theory have such staying power, even with plausible counter-arguments?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think the sources suggest it comes down to a few things. Fundamentally, when things just don't seem to add up perfectly for people, or when crucial evidence like original tapes goes missing, people get suspicious. They start digging. It's human nature.
A sort of where there's smoke, there's fire mentality?
Kind of. The power of this whole thing, as one source put it, isn't just about the evidence itself. It's the feeling behind it. It's not about what we saw. It's about what they didn't want us to see. That idea is really potent. It taps into distrust, into the possibility of secrets.
So it becomes less about the flag physics and more about trust, transparency.
Exactly. It shifts from a purely technical debate to one about belief and perception. Maybe we went, maybe we didn't. The sources argue that the mystery, the doubt itself, that's the part that's proven impossible to completely erase for some people, regardless of the explanations.
So wrapping this deep dive up, what we've seen is that the 1969 moon landing, this huge historical moment, is still a major point of debate and, honestly, fascination. It's not just about space travel. It makes us think about evidence, who we trust, and how stories get told and retold.
Yeah, and getting real insight here means looking at all of it, doesn't it? Understanding the claims, understanding the counterclaims, and seeing why the disagreement continues. Our goal wasn't to land on a final yes or no for you, but more to show you the different layers, the arguments presented in the sources we examined, to understand the conversation itself.
So, as you think about this, maybe consider not just the information you get, but how it's presented. What questions feel answered, and what questions, for millions of people, still seem to hang in the air? Do you believe we landed on the moon? Or could it possibly have been? Well, the greatest film never credited. Keep digging into the things that spark your curiosity. The exploration is often as interesting as the answer.